I'd like to share something with you. I remember I once met a friend of mine who was a polished public speaker. And I went up to them and I asked, "Wow, that's unbelievable. You speak so seamlessly, so fluidly." And he laughed with an uncomfortable laugh. And I said to him, why are you giving that sort of like uncomfortable laugh? Because he says, if you knew how I feel inside every single time I get up to speak, you will realize how amazed I am that actually I can share the way I share. And I said, what do you mean? Because you appear so confident. And he says, no, I'm actually, my stomach's turning, and beforehand I need to go to the loo a couple of times. It's not easy. It's not easy. I feel nervous. I was shocked. I was shocked. I like hearing this person speak. I never would have thought this person was nervous. And it's just very fascinating because this event happened maybe, when I was a teenager. And since then, I've spoken to so many people. And many a time, people may look a certain way on the outside. They may look and appear so secure and so confident. And then you speak to them, and, many a time they feel nervous. There are people who I have met who would give shir with speakers and they didn't feel nervous. However, a lot of people did feel nervous and do feel nervous. It's fascinating because we may look at somebody and we may make an assumption. We have an assumption about that person. They are so confident, or they're so secure. They've got it. It manifests throughout all of life. You may look at the neighbor and you think, financially they're okay, or their shalom bayis is amazing, or their parenting is absolutely fantastic. But the reality is you do not know how really they do feel about it. And for sure, you don't know really what they're experiencing. I remember once when counseling and guiding a couple, it was very fascinating because he was very opinionated and strong, and she actually felt very insecure. She felt elements of fear. I can't share who really I am because he's so overpowering. And he was a very safe person, and been married for about a year, and he was a very safe person. And we within a session shared this, and he was horrified. He says, "What? I just thought you were this soft-natured person, and if you felt that you needed to say something, of course you would have said it. I'm so sorry." And this is a married couple. The point I would like to share here is that we all have our insecurities. The point I'd like to share here is that we see the external expression of a person. We don't see that which is going on inside. As we've mentioned before, there's 3 areas in the world of human experience. We have thought, speech, and action. Machshava, dibur, and maisa. Now, thought is happening deep inside of us. We can't see it. Thought is hidden. Thought is internal. And action is what is external. And speech is what gives us the ability to bridge that's what's going on from the inside to the outside world. Problem is if we're not truthful. Problem is if we are speaking words and it's not really the way I feel. That's already a conversation within itself. But what we're trying to excavate here is the reality that people have an internal world. People experience themselves a certain way. They think about themselves a certain way. And as an onlooker, you're not going to know what's going on inside. I would suggest that all of us experience our own insecurities. We all have our own insecurities in different areas of our life. I remember one of my teachers in yeshiva, Rav Shammai Zanz, he was Rosh Yeshiva of Sunderland Yeshiva. He said, you should know in life Everybody is a tailor. Everyone is a Schneider. Everyone is a tailor. And we are either patching up or we are the one with the hole in our clothes that needs to be patched up. And he was talking about learning and chavrusas, that when we're learning with somebody, you have to be vulnerable enough to share and to talk and to realize there are holes in our personality. That's the nature of life. And sometimes as the person listening, you listen to what's missing, and you could be sensitive enough to be compassionate, and you could be that Schneider, and you could patch up that hole, that tear. Again, the idea is that there is this internal world that everybody is living within, and then there's how we manifest. And we don't necessarily know what's going on inside the other person. So much so, somebody may shout at you. But why are they shouting at you? Are they afraid of something and they have to protect themselves? And it's learning to be patient. It's learning to be compassionate. It's learning to understand the person who I am speaking to right now. What's going on really inside of them? What's going on inside of me right now? We all have our flaws. We all have our insecurities. We all have our inner world, and they're not always expressed so articulately. They're not always expressed so cleanly. They're not always expressed communicatively. We're not necessarily sharing the real self. Sometimes it's layered in bad midos, whatever it may be. And what I'm asking of us for the next couple of days is to be that little bit more present, and to be that little bit more patient, and to realize we all have our internal worlds. We all have our insecurities. No one is left out. And to be real with that, to be understanding of that, always to build more beautiful, wonderful, and wondrous relationships